Good day, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. We have an article from Wired.com, and it's titled Ewoks are the most tactically advanced fighting force in Star Wars. Is this true or not? Let's find out. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Helps out a lot, and you get to see like these cute little Ewoks. Alright, so let's move on to this. Ewoks. Just saying the name evokes myriad emotions in Star Wars fans. For some, the bear-like creatures that first appeared in 1983's Star Wars Return of the Jedi are part of a franchise's rich tapestry. Others consider the Ewoks a blight and would prefer they not exist at all. Some fan edits of Return of the Jedi excise the Ewoks entirely, for crying out loud. They're the most controversial inhabitants of the Star Wars universe this side of Jar Jar Binks. But you know what? They're also the most tactically proficient fighting force. In a series replete with combat and combat units, these are basically war movies after all. Most characters seem to be really bad at war. Consider the Empire. They're the technically dominant force, with legions of specialized troopers, storms, scouts, snow, death, and so on. On land, they have light and heavy armor in the form of ATSTs and AT-ATs, giving them heavy platforms to reduce even the most intractable of foes. In space, they can deploy echelons of attack fighters, classes of Star Destroyers that range from light to, is that an executor class in your pocket? Are you just happy to see me? The Empire can project immense power on both land and in space to defend its imperial interests, but they're also horrible at it. One of the basics of warfare is fire and maneuver, synchronizing all weapon systems and personnel on a close timetable of destruction to pinpoint the enemy's weakness, pin them with fire, and maneuver to strike at an exposed flank or rear. This involves the application of indirect and direct fires, as well as forces to fix the enemy in one spot and others to envelop or exploit a breakthrough. Our friends in the Imperial Army and Navy never met a problem they couldn't solve with a bold frontal assault. There's no subtlety in Imperial tactics. Just keep throwing stormtroopers and TIE fighters at the problem until it no longer is a problem. They don't bother to use indirect fire or even coordinate close air support at a tactical level. Their synchronization of the battle space boils down to, is everyone online and shooting in the general same direction? It's pretty laughable. You might rightly ask, if the Empire is so bad at war, why is it at the top of Bantha in the galaxy? And that's easy. The Rebel Alliance is even worse. They have virtually zero ground game, minus some special op units here and there. Their smattering of freedom fighters with small arms don't stand a chance against Imperial armor. Hoth alone showed that Rebel forces had no clue how to conduct ground and combat, as they failed to place a single obstacle along the enemy's lone adventure avenue of approach. They didn't develop an integrated fire plan or coordinate their close air support with the infantry defense. In short, there's no need to develop tactics if your enemy relies on hope as their main strategy. No wonder then that the Imperial garrison on the forest moon of Endor is horribly unprepared to face the Ewoks. As others have pointed out, the Ewoks seem to portray your garden variety insurgent or guerrilla force. George Lucas himself has said that he drew inspiration from the Vietnam War. But the Ewoks are also the only fighters in all Star Wars to portray multi-domain operations. They force their enemies to respond to a variety of threats simultaneously, throwing them off balance and allowing the Ewoks to seize the initiative. Let's break this down. Ready for this? The Ewoks face a heavily armed force of storm and scout troopers, with several light armor platforms. The Imperial force has just captured the supposedly elite Rebel Alliance Special Operations Detachment, tasked with knocking out the shield generator that protected the second iteration of the Death Star, conveniently located on the small, heavily wooded moon of the planet Endor. A deception operation first lures stormtroopers into the forest in pursuit of droid helpers C-3PO and R2-D2. The Ewoks swiftly knock these troopers in the head, and the general assault begins. Ewok forces initiate the ambush with trumpet blasts that resound across the forest, which they can repeat to create full synchronization. The horn's high pitch can also be seen as a psychological ploy, playing on the ears of the anxious troopers of the garrison. At this signal, the Ewoks unmasked multiple direct fire positions surrounding the Imperial forces. This presents the Imperial troops with multiple threats, drawing them out into the forest where they can be engaged from positions of relative dominance rather than massing all their forces at one point. Now, once the Ewoks have dispersed the enemy, they begin to destroy the segmented Imperial forces in detail. Close air support gliders strike troopers and armor from above, while ground obstacles consisting of rolling logs and tripwires slow and restrict the mobility of the Imperial armor. Indirect fire engages mounted and dismounted targets, further canalizing the enemy. Offensive obstacles like log traps smash armored vehicles that penetrate too deeply in the engagement area. Some Ewoks use the familiarity of the terrain and their Rebel Alliance embedded liaison officer, like Chewbacca the Wookiee, to commandeer an enemy ATST walker and turn it against the enemy. Imperial patrols that attempt to escape the engagement area strike counter-mobility obstacles. All the while, the Ewok ground forces engage in a fluid, continuous series of defensive and offensive actions, luring enemy troopers toward prepared positions or strongpoints. In this single engagement, the Ewoks managed to overwhelm and completely defeat a technologically superior force simply by using conventional military tactics and the principle of multi-domain operations. Through the synchronization of direct and indirect fire, close air support, combat engineering principles, deception, psychological operations, and massing their forces at the key point in time and space, the Ewoks demonstrate their proficiency in land warfare. Other Star Wars universe forces, the Gungans and the Galactic Army of the Republic in particular, show their own flashes of tactical brilliance, but none of them come close to matching the Ewoks in their ability to coordinate the effects of combat power. So, what do you think about this story? Do you think the Ewoks are the military might and are superior than the Emperor and the Rebel forces? Article seems to think so, and if you really think about it, I mean, it's kind of true, right? I mean, the Ewoks do fight on multiple fronts, and they have defensive stuff and offensive stuff. How they got that into place so quickly, though, is another story. Was it always there? Or did they hurry up and do that? I don't know. Maybe because they knew that the Empire was there. They had already had those traps all set up. But I don't know. Anyways, hope you had a good, laugh about this. And but what do you think? Do you think the Ewoks are the superior technological military might in this? Okay, maybe not in technological. I mean, they did use arrows and bolo whips and stuff, I guess. But, do you think their military superiority over the Empire and Rebel Alliance? Let me know in the comments section. I know I can kind of go on and on about this, but I just found it kind of interesting. So I hope you did too. Take care and have an awesome day.